Hi, today we are going to show you how to drain the oil and change the transmission filter in the automatic gearbox of your BMW 4 Series F33. Over these years, there has been an ongoing debate about whether or not this type of operation was worthwhile, but let's make it clear. Just as you would expect to change the engine oil to ensure a proper lubrication of moving parts, in your vehicle it is absolutely essential to change the gearbox oil and transmission filter on a regular basis. This is essential to keep your automatic gearbox in good working order and, above all, to make it last over time. We will tell you all about it in this video.
You can find out more about the exclusive new range of Perflex basic kit transmission filters needed to change the oil in your car automatic gearbox in the video description. Before changing the oil in your automatic gearbox, start your vehicle and using a diagnostic kit, check that the gearbox oil has reached a temperature between 35 and 45 degrees Celsius. This will allow the oil to be more fluid when changing it and with a temperature closer to the values required for checking and reaching the right level. Once you've reached the proper temperature, switch off your car. Once you've reached the right temperature, switch off your car and apply the handbrake. Lift the front and rear of your vehicle. We strongly advise you to watch our tutorial, lifting your vehicle safely, before carrying out this step. Place the vehicle on the 4 jack stands. You can then remove the plastic splash shield, if any, to be able to reach the gearbox oil drain plug. To do this, unscrew the plastic nuts using a ratchet and a 10mm socket. Then rotate the splash shield to release it from its retaining bracket. Now you have to access the transmission filter. You can see 2 oil hoses on the driver's side, corresponding to the inlet and outlet of the gearbox oil cooler, to which we're going to connect the automatic gearbox oil change machine. Before disconnecting them from the gearbox, start by unscrewing the bolt holding the clip of the 2 hoses using a ratchet and a female Torx E8 socket, otherwise it will not be possible to divide the hoses. Once unscrewed, use a flathead screwdriver to pry the clip open. Then shift the first hose. Using a 13mm open-end spanner, unscrew the bolt holding the hoses to the gearbox. Finish unscrewing by hand. Remove the gearbox hoses by pulling them. Disconnect the hoses by pulling them apart so as to release the hose locking pin. For this operation, we strongly recommend using an automatic gearbox oil change machine, which, unlike other methods, will replace all the used oil and clean the oil circuit in a perfect way. Once separated, reinsert the upper hose into its seat. Then, in place of the lower hose, fit the drain machine adapter. Put the adapter retaining tab over the hole of the hose retaining bolt. Then screw the retaining bolt back on. Take the second adapter and fit it onto the second hose. Screw the retaining bolt to hold the assembly together. Once properly assembled, connect the 2 oil hoses of the machine to the adapter. Once the machine has been connected to the adapter, the next step is to follow the machine procedure to be carried out with the engine running. The machine will collect the used oil and at the same time inject the same quantity of new oil. This is an automatic procedure. Just follow the instructions of the machine. After various steps, the machine will ask you to remove the transmission filter. Switch off your vehicle, then put an oil recovery container under the gearbox. Now unscrew the transmission filter drain plug using a 10mm Allen wrench. This allows you to empty the transmission filter before removing it. As the oil is slightly hot, we advise you to wear gloves. Once the plug has been removed, allow the oil to drain out. Screw the plug back in. Using a Torx E10 open-end spanner, unscrew the 3 Torx bolts that hold the thermal protection in place. Then remove it. Now you have to access the 13 transmission filter retaining screws. Unscrew them using a ratchet and a Torx 40 bit. When only 2 screws remain, hold the filter with one hand and finish unscrewing with the other. Then remove the transmission filter. Once the filter has been removed, a machine procedure needs to be run to refill the converter and push the last impurities out of the system. Then clean the transmission filter gasket area with some paper towel. Perflux has developed a wide range of transmission filters with all the components needed for their installation. Remove the plastic cap. Take a new Perflux transmission filter. Put the filter in place. Then screw the 13 new screws supplied in the kit back in until they make contact. Tighten with a Torx spanner set to 10 Nm following the tightening sequence shown. Refit the thermal protection, then screw it back on. At the end of the procedure, you're asked to add a certain amount of oil, which allows the proper level to be slightly exceeded. It will then be adjusted during the level check procedure. Before setting the right oil level, you need to start the vehicle and operate the lever several times so that all the components in the system can be filled with oil. Turn off the air conditioning and all the electrical components. Press the brake pedal. Move the gear lever 10 seconds to position D, then 10 seconds to position R. Repeat 10 seconds in position D, then 10 seconds in position R. Go back to the park position. Then keep the engine speed at 2000 RPM for 30 seconds to fill the torque converter. Then, using the diagnostic kit, make sure that the gearbox oil has reached a temperature between 35 and 45 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to the oil fluidity temperature required to reach and check the level. Place the oil recovery container under the gearbox. Then, using an 8mm Allen wrench, unscrew the gearbox lever plug with the engine running. Let the oil run out until it begins to drip in an isolated manner, which corresponds to the proper oil level. Replace the lever plug with the one supplied in the filter box. Screw the plug back in first by hand, before the final tightening with the tool without overdoing it. Switch off your vehicle. Finish tightening with the Torx spanner set to 35 Nm. Now the hoses need to be disconnected from the adapters. Unscrew the bolt holding the adapter onto the gearbox. Then remove the adapter. Unscrew the bolt holding the adapter onto the hose. Then remove it. Remove the gearbox hose. Then reconnect the two hoses to each other. Then screw the retaining bolt back on. Clean the oil remaining on the filter at the hoses with some paper towel. Put the hose back in the clip. Then lock the clip. Screw the clip retaining bolt back in place. Put the splash shield back. Then screw it in. You can now put your vehicle back on the ground. Operation completed.